Chosen one, are you tired of being heaven's forgotten child? Have you whispered prayers into the darkness for so long that even your own voice sounds foreign to you? Do you wake up at 3 a.m. wondering if God accidentally deleted your name from his book? Stop, right there. Imagine heaven itself, leaning over the edge of eternity, calling your name through the static of your circumstances. Picture the Almighty pausing every angel, silencing every choir, just to whisper directly into your weary soul. Child, your moment has arrived. This is not another video you stumbled across while scrolling through your phone. This is not coincidence. This is divine interruption. Heaven just knocked on your door, and the echo is still reverberating through your spirit right now. If you feel that tug in your chest, that electric stirring that makes your soul say, "This is for me," comment, "I receive it right now." Because when heaven speaks, you don't hesitate, you answer. Here's the shocking truth they don't want you to know. Your miracle isn't coming tomorrow. It isn't coming next week. Your miracle isn't coming at all, because it's already here. And heaven will not, I repeat, will not let you miss it. For 70, 80, maybe 90 years, you've been told your best days are behind you. That miracles are for the young, the perfect, the ones who got it right the first time. But what if I told you that's the greatest lie ever whispered into aging ears? You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are precisely positioned for the most earth-shattering breakthrough of your entire existence. Before we journey deeper into this sacred moment together, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating. You're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead your heart. Before this hour is over, you'll understand why every tear you've cried, every door that slammed shut, every silent night when God felt a million miles away, was all orchestrating this exact moment. The pain wasn't punishment, the waiting wasn't abandonment, the silence wasn't rejection. It was preparation. And what you're about to discover will not just change your perspective, it will change your timeline, your bank account, your family tree, and your eternal legacy. Heaven is holding its breath. Angels are positioning themselves, and you, chosen one, are about to step into the miracle that's been waiting for you to be ready to receive it. This is your divine appointment. Don't you dare scroll away. How many midnight hours have you spent staring at the ceiling, wondering if God hung up the phone mid-conversation? How many times have you whispered, "How much longer, Lord?" into your empty kitchen while your coffee grew cold? How many birthdays have passed where you blew out candles on promises that still haven't lit up your reality? Dear chosen one, I see you there in your recliner, surrounded by prescription bottles and memories, wondering if the best chapters of your story are gathering dust behind you. I know about those empty chairs at your dining room table where laughter used to live. I understand the weight of that phone that rings for everyone except the voice you're dying to hear. You've prayed prayers that seem to vanish into the dark like smoke from a snuffed candle. You fasted until your body trembled, begged until your voice cracked, and believed until believing became a burden too heavy for your weathered hands to carry. And still, silence. Still, waiting. Still, wondering if heaven's GPS lost your address somewhere between your 40th and 80th birthday. But what if I told you that everything you've labeled as abandonment was actually assignment? What if every unanswered prayer wasn't God's neglect but God's strategy? Listen to me, beloved. The children of Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years. Can you imagine? 40 years of the same sand, the same uncertainty, the same daily question. Are we there yet? Moses was 80 years old when he finally saw the promised land from Mount Nebo. 80. By today's standards, he should have been in assisted living, not leading millions across a desert. But here's what will revolutionize your understanding of divine timing. Heaven wasn't punishing them. Heaven was preparing them. Every scorching day in that wilderness was building something in their character that comfort never could. Every night they fell asleep on hard ground was teaching them that their security wasn't in their circumstances, but in their God. You see, there's a mystery hidden in the mathematics of waiting. 40 years in the wilderness produced a generation that could conquer fortified cities. 40 days in the wilderness prepared Jesus for 3 years of ministry that changed eternity. And your 40, 50, 60 years of walking through valleys, they've been forging you into someone who can handle the weight of miracles. That depression that visited you in your 50s and wouldn't leave for 3 years, that wasn't hell attacking you. That was heaven hollowing out space in your soul for deeper joy. That financial crisis in your 60s when you had to choose between medication and groceries, that wasn't God forgetting to provide. That was God teaching you that your provision doesn't come from social security checks, but from supernatural sources. Every closed door that left you standing in hallways of confusion was God protecting you from rooms that would have diminished your destiny. Every relationship that ended when you thought it was God's gift was actually God removing what would have contaminated your calling. But here's the revelation that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about delay. Your miracle isn't late, it's been hidden. Like a mother hides Christmas presents from children who aren't ready to receive them responsibly, God has been concealing your breakthrough until your character could steward it properly. Abraham was 99 when God renewed his promise of a son. 99. Sarah was 90 when Isaac was born. Anna was 84 when she finally held the Messiah in her wrinkled hands. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain, not give me this rocking chair, not give me this retirement home. Give me this mountain." Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Every gray hair is a thread of wisdom, every wrinkle is a line of experience. Every slow step is a measured walk of someone who's learned not to run ahead of God's timing. Scripture declares in Ecclesiastes 3:1, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." Your season of waiting hasn't been wasted. It's been weighted with purpose. Every tear that rolled down your cheek in secret was liquid preparation for the joy that's about to overflow your cup. Think about this. A seed doesn't look dead when it's buried in dark soil. It looks hidden. For months, nothing appears to be happening above ground, while everything necessary for life is taking root below the surface. The darkness isn't its enemy, the pressure isn't its punishment, the isolation isn't its abandonment. It's all preparation for the breakthrough that will make every day underground worthwhile. That's you right now. That's your story. What looks dormant is actually dynamic. What feels stuck is actually being strengthened. What appears silent is actually symphonic with the sound of heaven orchestrating your comeback. Delay isn't denial. It's heaven hiding your miracle until it's safe to release, until your enemies are in the right position to witness your vindication, until your family is positioned to see God's faithfulness, until your finances are aligned to receive abundance without destroying your humility. The very fact that you're still breathing, still hoping, still listening to this message is proof that your story isn't over. It's proof that God isn't finished. It's proof that your miracle has been growing stronger in the darkness, waiting for the appointed time to explode into your reality with such force that no one will be able to explain it, except to say, "This had to be God." If that just hit you like lightning in your chest, if something deep inside you just whispered, "Yes, this is my confirmation type. I still believe right now." Let the enemy know you're still here. Let heaven know you're still trusting. Let your own soul know that waiting hasn't weakened your faith. It's refined it into pure gold. Because what's coming next will prove that every day in your valley was actually preparing you for your mountain. And that mountain isn't just any ordinary peak. It's the summit where heaven meets earth, and miracles become your new address. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Right now, as I speak these words, you're experiencing something you can't quite name. It's that restless stirring in your chest when you wake up at dawn. That sudden warmth that floods through you when you're praying. That unexplainable knowing that something massive is shifting in the invisible realm around your life. You've been dismissing these signs as coincidence, as wishful thinking, as the foolish hope of someone who's been disappointed too many times before. But what if I told you that every single flutter in your spirit, every unexpected moment of peace, every door that's starting to crack open just a fraction of an inch, what if all of that is heaven's way of whispering, "Get ready, it's time"? Dear friend, you need to understand something that will revolutionize how you see your current season. God doesn't move like Hollywood movies. He doesn't announce his miracles with trumpets and lightning bolts. He moves like a master artist, painting his masterpiece one brushstroke at a time, one small sign building upon another, until suddenly you're standing before the completed canvas, breathless with wonder. Think about Martha and Mary when their brother Lazarus lay dying. For 4 days it looked like nothing was happening. 4 days of silence. 4 days of what seemed like divine delay. But Jesus wasn't late. He was orchestrating a resurrection that would echo through eternity. Every hour of that delay was heaven preparing for a miracle so massive that death itself would have to bow. That's exactly where you are right now. In the space between the promise and the manifestation. In that holy tension where faith gets tested and miracles get birthed. But here's what's breaking my heart. Here's what's keeping me awake at 3 a.m. praying for people just like you. You're so focused on what hasn't changed yet that you're missing what's already moving. You're staring at the closed doors while heaven is unlocking windows you haven't even looked toward yet. Let me paint you a picture that might shock you into recognition. Remember when the prophet Elijah climbed Mount Carmel and told his servant, "Go look toward the sea." The servant came back 7 times saying, "There's nothing there. Nothing, nothing, nothing." But on the 7th look, he saw it, a cloud the size of a man's hand rising from the sea. One small cloud in an endless sky. But Elijah didn't dismiss it. He didn't say, "That's too small to matter." He told Ahab, "Get ready, because the rain is coming." And before they could blink, the heavens opened with such force that the drought didn't just end, it was obliterated. What Elijah understood that his servant missed is this: God's biggest moves often begin with his smallest signs. So let me ask you something that might cut straight to your soul. What small cloud have you been overlooking? What tiny shift have you been dismissing as meaningless? Because I'm here to tell you that the stirring you've been feeling, that inexplicable sense that your life is about to take a dramatic turn, that's not your imagination running wild. That's your spirit catching up to what heaven already set in motion. Maybe it's the way your grandson looked at you yesterday with such love in his eyes, like he was seeing you for the first time. Maybe it's that phone call from an old friend who said your name just popped into their head. Maybe it's the sudden peace that washed over you while you were paying bills that should have stressed you out. Maybe it's the way that scripture jumped off the page this morning like it was written just for you. Those aren't accidents, beloved. Those are heaven's calling cards. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. He's been working overtime to convince you that small equals insignificant, that subtle equals imaginary, that quiet equals absent. But the God we serve specializes in using the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. He uses mustard seeds to grow mountains. He uses widows' mites to fund kingdoms. He uses stuttering shepherds to confront pharaohs. Your miracle isn't coming with fireworks and fanfare. It's coming like dawn, breaks slowly, quietly, then all at once until you're standing in full daylight wondering how you ever doubted the sunrise was coming. But here's the urgency burning in my spirit right now. Here's why this message found you today instead of tomorrow or next week. There's a window opening in the spiritual realm that won't stay open forever. God moves in seasons. And your season of breakthrough has a beginning and an end. The signs are multiplying because the moment is approaching. I need you to stop waiting for the dramatic and start recognizing the divine. Stop looking for the earthquake and start feeling for the gentle breeze. Because right now, as you're listening to these words, heaven is moving pieces on a chessboard you can't see, setting up circumstances you haven't imagined, preparing people you haven't met to become part of your miracle story. The shift you're sensing isn't your imagination. It's your spirit catching up to what heaven already set in motion months ago, maybe even years ago. God has been orchestrating this breakthrough since before you even knew you needed it. And here's what's going to happen in the next 7 days if you have eyes to see and ears to hear. The signs are going to multiply. The small clouds are going to gather into a storm system of supernatural favor. The whispers are going to become declarations. The cracks in your circumstances are going to become openings wide enough for miracles to walk through. But you have to be watching. You have to be ready. Because when God decides to move, He moves fast. In just a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why you've felt this stirring lately and what it means for your next 7 days. But first, you need to understand something that will determine whether you catch this wave of divine momentum or let it pass you by. Listen to me carefully, beloved. There's something about you that the world has never been able to figure out. Something that's made you feel like a stranger in your own skin for 70, 80, maybe 90 years. You walk into rooms and the atmosphere shifts. You speak truth and people either love you instantly or avoid you completely. You've been called too much, too intense, too deep, too spiritual. But what if I told you that everything they labeled as your weakness was actually heaven's fingerprint on your soul? You were marked before you took your first breath, before your mother even knew she was carrying you, before your name was whispered in hospital hallways. God had already written chosen across your spirit in letters of fire. That's why you never fit in. That's why the circles that embraced others felt too small for you. That's why you've spent a lifetime feeling like you were born into the wrong generation, the wrong family, the wrong circumstances. You weren't born wrong. You were born marked. Think about your childhood for a moment. While other kids were playing games, weren't you the one who noticed when the teacher was sad? Weren't you the one who could sense trouble before it arrived? Weren't you the one who had dreams that came true, who felt things deeper than anyone around you could understand? Your family probably called you the sensitive one. They said you worried too much, felt too much, cared too much. But heaven was watching. Heaven was taking notes, because what they called sensitivity, God called spiritual radar. What they dismissed as overthinking, the Almighty recognized as prophetic discernment. You see, dear one, when God marks someone for a specific assignment, He doesn't consult the crowd. He doesn't ask permission from your relatives or seek approval from your neighbors. He simply reaches down from eternity and places His seal upon a willing vessel. And that seal, it makes you different. It makes you uncomfortable in comfortable places. It makes you restless in settling seasons. The prophet Jeremiah understood this tension. In Jeremiah 1-5, God declared, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you. Before you were born I set you apart." Set apart, not set aside. Not forgotten. Set apart for divine purpose. But do you know what happened to Jeremiah when he tried to argue with his calling? When he said, "I'm too young, I don't know how to speak," God silenced every excuse with one thunderous truth. Do not say, "I am too young." You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your qualification. Every year you've lived, every tear you've cried, every battle you've survived has been adding weight to your spiritual authority. While others were building careers, you were building character. While they were accumulating possessions, you were accumulating wisdom. While they were chasing recognition, you were being refined in the secret place. But the enemy has been whispering lies to you, hasn't he? He's told you that your best days are behind you, that God uses young people for big things and old people for, well, for rocking chairs and reminiscing. He's convinced you that the dreams you carried in your 20s died somewhere in your 50s, that the fire you once felt has been reduced to barely glowing embers. That's the biggest lie hell has ever told you. Look at David, the youngest, the smallest, the one his own father forgot to invite when the prophet came looking for the next king of Israel. While his brothers stood tall and impressive, David was in the fields with sheep, composing psalms under starlight, worshipping in obscurity. But 1 Samuel 16-7 reveals heaven's perspective. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Your heart, chosen one. That's what heaven marked. That beating, aching, loving, hoping heart that's been broken and mended so many times you've lost count. That's your treasure. That's your weapon. That's your qualification for the miracle that's about to break open over your life. Consider Anna the prophetess, 84 years old when she finally saw the Messiah with her own eyes. 84. For decades she'd been faithfully serving in the temple while younger people came and went. They probably thought she was just a sweet old lady who'd outlived her usefulness. But Luke 2:38 tells us she was the first to proclaim the coming of redemption to all who were looking for it. Her age wasn't her limitation, it was her authority. Here's what shakes me to my core about your story. You've been carrying the oil of God through decades of drought. While others gave up, you kept believing. While they walked away, you stayed faithful. While they complained about the silence, you kept worshiping in the waiting. That wasn't weakness. That was supernatural endurance that only comes from being marked by the Almighty. The mark you carry isn't just personal, it's generational. You're not just breaking through for yourself. You're shattering ceilings for your children, your grandchildren, and people you'll never meet who need to see that it's never too late to step into divine purpose. But here's the truth that will either liberate you or terrify you. Chosen doesn't mean perfect. Chosen means trusted. And God trusts you with this miracle, not because you've never failed, but because when you did fail, you got back up. When you fell, you repented. When you lost your way, you found your way back to His feet. The enemy has been trying to convince you that your mistakes disqualified you. But God looks at your scars and sees evidence that you survived what was meant to destroy you. He looks at your wrinkles and sees a roadmap of faithfulness. He looks at your gray hair and sees a crown of glory earned through years of not giving up, when giving up would have been easier. Stand up where you are right now. I don't care if you're in your living room, your bedroom, or sitting in your car. Stand up, lift your hands toward heaven, and declare this over your life. God, I am marked, I am chosen, I am trusted, and I will not die with my assignment unfulfilled. Heaven is watching this moment. Angels are leaning in. The cloud of witnesses who've gone before you are cheering you on, because they know something you're just beginning to remember. The mark on your life isn't fading with age, it's intensifying. The oil isn't drying up, it's about to overflow. You are not too old to be used. You are finally old enough to be trusted with what God has been preparing since before you understood what preparation meant. But if you feel this stirring in your spirit, if something deep inside you is awakening for the first time in years, then you need to understand what's about to happen next. Listen to me, chosen one. That deafening silence you've endured for months, maybe years, that crushing weight of unanswered prayers echoing in empty rooms, that suffocating feeling that God packed His bags and moved to another zip code without leaving a forwarding address. What if I told you that silence was never abandonment? What if every quiet night, every ignored petition, every moment you felt spiritually orphaned was actually heaven's most sophisticated strategy? You see, dear soul, you've been interpreting God's silence through the lens of human rejection. When people go silent on us, it means they're done. When our children stop calling, it means we've been forgotten. When friends disappear, it means we no longer matter. But God doesn't operate by human communication patterns. Heaven's silence was never absence, it was strategy. Think about this. Before God speaks worlds into existence, what comes first? Silence. Before Jesus calmed the storm, what was he doing? Sleeping in silence while chaos raged around him. Before Lazarus walked out of that tomb, how long was Jesus silent? 4 days. 4 agonizing days while Mary and Martha wept and wondered where their miracle-working friend had gone. But here's what will blow your 70-year-old mind wide open. God's silence isn't punishment for your past mistakes. It isn't cosmic cold shoulder because you haven't been good enough. God has been silent because he's been building something so massive, so earth-shattering, so unprecedented in your family lineage that if he had spoken too soon, it would have destroyed you. You couldn't have handled at 40 what he's about to release at 70. You didn't have the spiritual muscle at 50 to carry what he's downloading at 80. The silence wasn't delay, it was divine construction happening in realms you couldn't see. For decades, you've been like a woman in labor, feeling the contractions, but seeing no baby. The pain was real, the struggle was intense. But what you didn't know is that heaven has been in the delivery room this entire time, monitoring every contraction, timing every push, waiting for the exact moment when new life could safely enter the world. Well, chosen one, the baby is crowning. The arrow has been drawn back as far as it will go. This is the moment before the release. And the tension you feel in your spirit right now isn't anxiety, it's anticipation. It's the final seconds before breakthrough explodes into your reality with such force that everyone who counted you out will have to count you in. But here's where it gets controversial. Here's where some of you will get uncomfortable with what I'm about to say. Your greatest tragedy was your greatest training ground. That bankruptcy that humiliated you. That divorce that nearly killed you. That diagnosis that terrified you. That betrayal that left you questioning everything you believed about human nature. None of it was random. All of it was preparation for the authority you're about to walk in. God doesn't waste pain, dear one. He transforms it into power. And every tear you've cried in secret has been collected in heaven's bottles, fermented into spiritual wine that's about to intoxicate this generation with hope. Joshua 6:16 tells us that on the 7th day, after 7 trips around Jericho, in complete silence, Joshua finally commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." 7 days of silent marching. 7 days of looking foolish. 7 days of people probably whispering, "Are they ever going to do something? Or just keep walking in circles?" But when the shout came, when the silence finally broke, those walls didn't just crack, they collapsed completely. Instantly, supernaturally, undeniably. You've been marching around your Jericho for 7 years, maybe 7 decades. The walls of poverty, sickness, loneliness, family dysfunction, they've looked exactly the same every single day. Nothing appeared to be changing. Nothing seemed to be moving. But heaven has been counting your laps. Every morning you got up, when you wanted to stay in bed, that was a lap. Every time you chose forgiveness, when bitterness felt easier, that was a lap. Every night you whispered, "Your will be done," when your heart wanted to scream, that was a lap. And now, right now, at this very moment, you've completed your 7 laps. The silence is about to break. The shout is rising in your throat. And those walls that have mocked you for decades are about to tremble at the sound of your voice aligned with heaven's decree. But here's the urgent truth that should make your 80-year-old heart race like you're 18 again. This window of breakthrough is not indefinite. There are appointed times in God's calendar, and this is yours. Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." Your season is now. Your time is here. Your purpose is activating. In the next 7 days, mark this down. Write it on your bathroom mirror. Watch for the door no man can shut. It's not going to be a little opportunity that you might miss if you're not paying attention. When God opens doors in your appointed season, they swing wide with such force that everyone within a 50-mile radius knows something supernatural just happened. This isn't coincidence. This isn't luck. This isn't even answered prayer. This is your appointed time colliding with heaven's perfect will. and the explosion is going to leave your family speechless, your neighbors wondering, and your enemies forced to admit that the God you serve still shows up for his chosen ones. But you must respond. You must participate. You must declare your agreement with what heaven is already declaring over your life. If you're in agreement, if your spirit is resonating with every word I'm speaking, if you feel that holy electricity running through your veins right now, declare it boldly in the comments. My miracle is here. Don't whisper it. Don't hesitate. Seal it in the atmosphere with the authority of someone who knows their breakthrough isn't coming, it has arrived. Because what happens next will require every ounce of faith you've built in the silence. Listen to me, chosen one. Right now, in this very moment, something sacred is happening that your natural eyes cannot see. Heaven itself has opened its throne room, and the King of Kings is walking toward you with a crown in his hands. You feel it, don't you? That trembling in your chest. That's not anxiety, that's anticipation. That's your spirit recognizing the sound of approaching royalty. For decades, you've been told to sit down, step back, make room for the younger generation. You've been convinced that your time has passed, that your season is over, that God's moved on to fresher faces and stronger bodies. But I'm here to shatter that lie with the hammer of divine truth. Your coronation day has arrived. Let me tell you about Dorothy from Queens. 83 years old, living on Social Security, watching her savings evaporate like morning mist. For 27 years, she prayed the same prayer every morning. God, just let me see your faithfulness before I die. 27 years of silence. 27 years of waiting. Then, on a Tuesday morning in March, her phone rang. A lawyer she'd never met told her about an inheritance from a distant relative she'd forgotten existed. $2 million. At 83. But here's what will shock you. Dorothy wasn't surprised. She hung up the phone and whispered, "I've been expecting you." That's what happens when you understand you're not forgotten. You're being prepared for your crowning moment. Or consider Frank from Brooklyn. 91 years old, diagnosed with terminal cancer, given 3 months to live. His children gathered for what they thought were final goodbyes. But Frank had been reading Isaiah 60-22 every morning for 6 months. When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. On his 92nd birthday, the doctors couldn't find a trace of cancer in his body. Not remission, complete eradication. The medical team called it impossible. Frank called it Tuesday. You see, beloved, there comes a moment in every chosen one's life when heaven stops whispering and starts shouting. When God stops preparing and starts performing. When the veil between the natural and supernatural becomes so thin that miracles bleed through like sunrise through sheer curtains. That moment is now. But here's the truth that will either liberate you or terrify you. The miracle isn't coming to find you. It's been waiting for you to rise. For too long, you've been crawling when you were created to soar. You've been begging when you were born to reign. You've been accepting scraps when heaven prepared a banquet table with your name engraved on the golden plate. Isaiah 60-22 thunders across time and space. When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Not might happen, not could happen, will happen. Divine inevitability wrapped in prophetic promise. But here's the question that will haunt you until you answer it. What if right now, this very second, is the appointed time? What if every tear you've cried, every prayer you've whispered, every night you've lain awake, wondering if God still remembers your address, was building toward this exact moment? The enemy has been lying to you about your expiration date. He's convinced you that miracles have age limits, that breakthroughs require youth, that God's power diminishes with your declining strength. But that serpent forgot one crucial detail. You don't carry miracle power. Miracle power carries you. Moses was 80 when he split the Red Sea. Sarah was 90 when she birthed nations. Caleb was 85 when he conquered mountains and declared, "Give me this hill country." Your birth certificate isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Every gray hair on your head is a crown of wisdom. Every wrinkle on your face is a line of victory. Every slow step you take carries the weight of decades walking with the Almighty. You're not aging out of God's plan. You're aging into His purpose. Right now, angels are positioning themselves around your circumstances. Divine appointments are being orchestrated in boardrooms you'll never see. Resources are being redirected from accounts you've never heard of. People you've never met are being stirred in their spirits to become part of your miracle. The crown isn't coming down slowly. It's crashing down with the force of divine decree. And when it lands on your head, everything changes. Your voice carries new authority. Your presence commands new respect. Your prayers move mountains that have stood unmoved for generations. But crowns aren't comfortable. They're heavy with responsibility. When God crowns you, He's not just blessing you, He's commissioning you. You become His ambassador to a generation that's forgotten what real faith looks like. You become living proof that heaven still moves mountains for those who dare to believe. The banquet table is set. The feast is prepared. The invitation has your name written in golden letters. But you must rise from where you've been sitting in the shadows. You must walk forward and take your seat at the King's table. This isn't about feeling worthy. This is about being chosen. Worthiness was never the qualification, surrender was, and every time you said yes when everything in you wanted to say no, you were writing your name on heaven's guest list. The veil is lifting. Can you see it? The thin curtain between where you are and where you're destined to be is dissolving like morning fog. What seemed impossible yesterday becomes inevitable today. What felt delayed becomes delivered. What appeared denied becomes undeniably yours. Share this message right now. Don't think about it. Don't hesitate. Be the messenger that carries someone else's confirmation. Because scattered across this nation are thousands of other chosen ones sitting in the same shadows you've been hiding in. They need to hear your voice declaring what heaven just declared over you. Your miracle isn't coming tomorrow. It's breathing in this room with you right now. The only question left is this. Will you finally reach out and take hold of what's been reaching for you all along? The miracle is here. But what do you do when the door finally swings wide? Listen carefully, chosen one. Right now, as these words reach your ears, something extraordinary is happening in the spiritual realm. Can you feel it? That shift in the atmosphere around you. That sudden stillness that makes your heart skip a beat. Heaven has just opened a door that has been sealed for decades. And it's opening so slowly, so deliberately, that you can almost hear the ancient hinges creaking under the weight of divine intention. Picture this door with me. It's not made of wood or steel. It's crafted from answered prayers, forged from your tears, and reinforced with every moment you chose faith over fear. As it swings open, light spills through, not ordinary light, but the kind that pierces through 70 years of disappointment and illuminates possibilities you thought died with your youth. The air itself is changing around you. Can you sense it? It's thicker now, pregnant with promise, electric with the presence of the Almighty. This is the same atmosphere that filled the upper room on Pentecost. The same divine density that surrounded Moses on Mount Sinai. But here's what's breaking my heart right now. I know some of you are standing at that threshold, seeing the light, feeling the invitation. But your feet are frozen in place. You're thinking, I'm too old for new beginnings. I'm too tired for another journey. I'm too broken for miracles. Stop lying to yourself. Do you know what God says about open doors? In Revelation 3-8, He declares with thunderous authority, See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Not might place, not could place, have placed. It's already done, already positioned, already waiting for your trembling feet to cross the threshold. This door doesn't ask for your qualifications. It doesn't require a resume of your successes or a clean record of your failures. This door recognizes one thing and one thing only, the mark of the chosen. And you, dear soul, you carry that mark whether you feel worthy of it or not. But here's the shocking truth that's going to shatter every excuse you've been rehearsing. Heaven didn't just send you a miracle. Heaven is inviting you into a room you've never walked in before. A room that has your name etched into the very walls. A room where your deepest prayers echo back as divine promises. A room where impossibility bows to the God of all creation. You've been praying for breakthrough. You've been begging for change. You've been crying out for God to move in your situation. But what if I told you that God has been waiting for you to move? What if the door has been open this entire time, and you've been staring at it from a distance, afraid to believe it's really for you? Think about this for a moment. How many opportunities have you talked yourself out of because you felt too old? How many dreams have you buried because someone convinced you that your season was over? How many times have you stood at the edge of possibility and retreated because fear whispered louder than faith? The enemy has been playing a devastating game with your mind. He's convinced you that open doors are for other people, younger people, smarter people, people who haven't made the mistakes you've made. But that's a lie straight from the pit of hell. Abraham was 75 when God opened the door to the promised land. Sarah was 90 when heaven opened her womb. Moses was 80 when the Red Sea parted at his command. Your age isn't your disqualification, it's your credential. Your years aren't your limitation, they're your preparation. But I need you to understand something urgent. Open doors don't stay open forever. Divine invitations have expiration dates. And right now, right this very moment, heaven is holding this door open specifically for you. But it won't wait indefinitely. Can you hear it? That gentle voice calling your name from beyond the threshold. That's not your imagination. That's the Good Shepherd calling his sheep by name. That's the Father inviting his child home. That's Jesus saying what he said to Peter. Come. In the next few minutes, you'll see why heaven didn't just send a miracle to your doorstep. You'll understand why God chose to invite you into a room that has been prepared for you since before the foundation of the world. You'll discover that this isn't just about receiving something from God. It's about becoming someone new in God. If you're ready to walk through this door, if something in your spirit is stirring with holy anticipation, if you're tired of standing on the outside looking in, type "I'm stepping through right now." Seal it in faith. Declare it with boldness. Let heaven know that you're done with excuses and ready for miracles. Because here's what happens the moment you step through that door. You don't just enter a new room, you enter a new identity. You don't just receive a blessing, you become the blessing. You don't just witness the miraculous, you become the vessel through which the miraculous flows. The light streaming through that open door isn't just illuminating your path forward, it's exposing the enemy's greatest fear. That you would finally realize you were never meant to live on this side of the door. You were always meant to walk in the fullness of what God prepared for you. But standing at the threshold isn't enough. Seeing the light isn't sufficient. Feeling the invitation doesn't complete the miracle. There's one thing left that only you can do. Are you ready to discover what happens when heaven's invitation meets human obedience? Chosen one, let me tell you about Margaret from Brooklyn. 73 years old. Prayed for 37 years for her son to come home from addiction. 37 years of midnight tears, of empty chairs at Thanksgiving, of watching other mothers hug their children while hers slowly died on the streets. Then one Tuesday morning, her phone rang. Her son was clean, sober, ready to rebuild. The miracle she'd bled for had finally arrived. But here's what nobody prepared Margaret for. She didn't know how to receive it. For 37 years, her identity had been the grieving mother, the intercessor in the storm, the woman who carried everyone else's burdens. When the blessing came, she felt lost. The weight of answered prayer was heavier than the weight of unanswered prayer. Because here's what they don't tell you about miracles, dear one. Getting what you prayed for is only half the equation. Carrying what you received is where most people crumble. You see, there's a difference between wanting a crown and wearing one. A crown sitting on a shelf is beautiful. A crown resting on your head is responsibility. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you see yourself. And most people who pray for breakthrough have never counted the cost of carrying it. Look at King Saul, the first king of Israel, God's chosen vessel, the people's champion. He got everything he wanted: power, position, prestige, but the weight of it drove him to madness. Because wanting authority and wielding authority are two completely different battles. The blessing he begged for became the burden that broke him. You think you're ready for your miracle, but let me ask you something that might sting. Have you considered what happens the morning after God answers? When the celebration ends and the responsibility begins. When people start expecting you to carry yourself differently because you've been touched by divine favor. 2 Corinthians 4:17 declares, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Did you catch that phrase? Far outweighs. Glory has weight. It has mass. It has gravitational pull. And most believers are not prepared for the physics of answered prayer. This is why David spent years in caves before he touched the throne. This is why Moses wandered 40 years in the wilderness before he split the Red Sea. This is why Jesus himself was hidden for 30 years before he preached his first sermon. The greater the miracle, the greater the preparation required to carry it. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think preparation is punishment. They think the delay is denial. They think the pressure they're under is evidence that God has forgotten them. But what if I told you something that will revolutionize how you see your struggles? The weight you've been under was heaven's gym. Every financial pressure that should have broken you but didn't, that was spiritual weightlifting. Every betrayal that should have made you bitter but instead made you better, that was endurance training. Every night you cried yourself to sleep but woke up choosing faith anyway, that was character conditioning. You think you've been suffering. Heaven calls it strengthening. Look at your hands right now. Really look at them. Those aren't the soft hands of someone who's lived an easy life. Those are the calloused hands of someone who's been gripping hope when everything around you was slipping. Those hands have been conditioned by pressure, strengthened by struggle, prepared to hold what's about to be placed in them. You're strong enough now. When the doors open that you couldn't force, when the healing comes that doctors couldn't explain, when the provision arrives from sources you never imagined, when your children call with changed hearts, when your finances shift overnight, when your reputation is restored with interest, you won't collapse under the weight of God's goodness because you've been training in His gymnasium of grace. You're strong enough now. The enemy wanted that pressure to crush you, but God used it to create you. The same fire that burns down buildings also forges steel. The same storms that sink ships also strengthen sailors. And the same trials that destroy the unprepared only prepare the chosen for greater glory. You're strong enough now. But here's the warning that comes with readiness. Chosen doesn't mean casual. Marked doesn't mean comfortable. Anointed doesn't mean automatic. With great blessing comes great responsibility. With divine favor comes divine accountability. And with answered prayer comes answered purpose. You cannot live small when you've been touched by something great. You cannot hide when you've been marked for influence. You cannot play victim when you've been positioned for victory. The weight of glory doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes your character, your expectations, your very identity. This is why some people actually pray for their miracles to be delayed. Not because they don't want them, but because they sense the magnitude of what they're asking for. They know that when God says yes, everything changes. Not just their situation, but their assignment. Not just their position, but their purpose. Are you ready for that level of transformation? Are you prepared for the blessing that comes with a billable hours? Are you willing to carry the weight that comes with the wonder? Because what's about to be placed in your hands isn't just for you. It's through you. Your healing becomes hope for others. Your breakthrough becomes a bridge for the broken. Your miracle becomes a model for those who've given up believing. The question isn't whether you deserve it. Grace never was about deserving. The question is whether you're ready to steward it. whether you can carry the crown without losing your head, whether you can hold the blessing without dropping your worship. But here's what I know about you, that you might not know about yourself yet. Beloved, I need you to stop everything you're doing right now. Put down that coffee cup. Turn off that television, because heaven is about to hold up a mirror in front of you, but this isn't showing your wrinkles, your gray hair, or the scars life carved into your face. This mirror reflects something far more profound. It's showing your assignment. For 87 years, maybe 92, you've been looking in the wrong mirror. You've been staring at what time took instead of what God placed. You see failure where heaven sees preparation. You see endings where the Almighty sees beginnings. You see a worn-out body where your Creator sees a seasoned vessel, refined by fire and ready for His greatest work. When was the last time someone looked you in the eye and told you exactly who you are? Not who you were in 1965 when you had energy, not who you might become if you were younger, but who you are right now, today, in this moment, breathing this breath, hearing these words. You are a mighty warrior. Wait, you whisper. I can barely climb the stairs without getting winded. But that's exactly what Gideon said when the angel of the Lord found him hiding in a winepress, threshing wheat in fear. Judges 6:12 records the stunning words, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Mighty warrior. Gideon was trembling. He was the least in his family. His clan was the weakest in Manasseh. Sound familiar? But God wasn't looking at Gideon's resume. He was looking at Gideon's destiny. He wasn't seeing the scared farmer. He was seeing the deliverer of Israel. He wasn't calling Gideon what he was calling him what he would become. Look again. Look deeper into that prophetic mirror, past the arthritis, past the Medicare cards, past the social security checks, past the empty bedrooms where your children once slept, past the funeral programs stacked on your kitchen table. Now you see it. There's fire in those tired eyes. There's authority in that weathered voice. There's power in those hands that have prayed more prayers than most people will pray in a lifetime. You think your best days are behind you? Child, you haven't even touched your assignment yet. Here's what's going to shock you to your core. Every single thing that tried to break you was actually building you. Every betrayal that left you gasping for air was teaching you to breathe heaven's atmosphere. Every financial crisis that brought you to your knees was training you to stand in supernatural provision. Every sleepless night when you cried out to a God who seemed silent was developing your spiritual hearing for this exact moment. You survived what should have killed you because you carry something that cannot die. You endured what destroyed others because your calling has no expiration date. You kept going when quitting would have been easier, because heaven knew this day was coming, the day you would finally see yourself through God's eyes. When you see yourself the way God sees you, you'll stop asking if you're qualified. You'll stop measuring your worth by your age. You'll stop apologizing for taking up space in a world that needs exactly what you carry. But here's the part that's going to shatter every excuse you've been hiding behind. God doesn't look at your birth certificate when He hands out assignments. Moses was 80 when he split the Red Sea. Abraham was 100 when he became the father of nations. Anna the prophetess was 84 when she recognized the Messiah in the temple. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Your wrinkles aren't signs of decay, they're marks of wisdom. Your slower pace isn't weakness, it's the measured walk of someone who knows where they're going. Look again. Look deeper. The mirror is reflecting something that's going to terrify hell and activate heaven. You're not just a survivor, you're a carrier. You don't just have a testimony, you are the testimony this generation has been waiting for. You're not just getting older, you're getting bolder, clearer, more dangerous to darkness with every passing day. This is why the enemy worked overtime to convince you that your season was over. This is why depression whispered that you were useless. This is why loneliness tried to make its home in your heart. Because if you ever truly saw what God sees when He looks at you, you would become unstoppable. The mirror doesn't lie, beloved. And what it's showing you right now is the reason you survived every storm endured every loss, and kept believing when believing hurt. You weren't preserved for retirement from purpose. You were prepared for deployment into destiny. Your children think you should slow down. Your doctor says, take it easy. Society whispers that your time has passed. But heaven is thundering something completely different. Your finest hour has arrived. Now you see it. The calling that's been dormant is awakening. The authority that's been buried under years of doubt is rising. The assignment that seemed impossible is becoming inevitable. Because when God shows you who you really are, everything shifts. The atmosphere changes, doors swing open, mountains move, and what seemed like your sunset becomes your sunrise. So I'm asking you right now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now. What is God calling you into? What vision has been stirring in your spirit that you've been too afraid to voice? What dream have you buried under the weight of "I'm too old"? Write it in the comments below, not as a wish, but as a public declaration of faith. Because when you speak it, you activate it. When you declare it, you unlock it. And when you believe it, heaven moves to make it happen. This is your moment of recognition. This is your prophetic mirror revealing not who you were, but who you are becoming. And what you're becoming is about to change everything for you, for your family, and for a world that desperately needs what only you can give. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. The attacks that have been hitting you lately, the ones that came out of nowhere, the ones that felt personal, the ones that made you question everything you thought you knew about God's faithfulness. Those weren't random. That wasn't bad luck. That wasn't even your faith being tested. That was the enemy's last stand. You see, the devil doesn't waste ammunition on empty targets. He doesn't send his fiercest demons after people who pose no threat to his kingdom. But you've been under siege because hell itself knows something about your future that you're just beginning to understand. The attacks that hit you hardest lately, that's the enemy trying to make you quit 5 minutes before the delivery truck arrives at your door. Think about Pharaoh's army chasing the Israelites to the Red Sea. Why would a king risk his entire military force to pursue escaped slaves? Because he knew that if they reached the other side, his power would be broken forever. The enemy doesn't chase what's already defeated. He only pursues what's about to escape his grip. And right now, dear one, you are standing at your Red Sea moment. Every financial attack that hit when you thought you were finally getting ahead, every health scare that came just when peace was settling in, every relationship that exploded just when healing seemed possible, every door that slammed shut just when hope was rising. The enemy wasn't attacking your past, he was attacking your future. Because he sees what's coming for you in the next 90 days, and it terrifies him. But here's what the devil miscalculated. Here's what hell didn't expect. Every attack he launched against you didn't weaken you, it trained you. Every assault on your peace didn't break your spirit, it built your endurance. Every attempt to silence your voice didn't crush your calling, it refined your message. You are not the same person who entered this battle. You've been forged in fire, you've been tested in the furnace, and now you carry something that makes darkness tremble, unshakable faith. The pressure you're feeling right now isn't punishment. It's proof that you're standing at the edge of the greatest breakthrough of your entire life. The shaking you feel isn't collapse, it's the sound of walls coming down. Jericho's walls didn't fall on day 1, they fell on day 7 when the pressure reached its peak. You're on day 7, chosen one. But listen closely, because this is where many fall. The enemy's last strategy isn't physical attack, it's psychological warfare. He whispers lies in the dead of night. You're too old for this kind of breakthrough. Miracles like this don't happen to people like you. You've waited too long. You've made too many mistakes. Those thoughts aren't your thoughts. That voice isn't your voice. That's the desperation of a defeated enemy trying one last trick to keep you from crossing over. But I'm here to tell you something that will shatter every lie hell has whispered in your ear. The closer you get to your promise, the louder the enemy screams. The nearer you come to your miracle, the more desperate his attacks become. The pressure isn't proof that God has abandoned you, it's evidence that you're about to enter what He's prepared for you. Goliath didn't roar louder because he was winning. He roared louder because he saw the stone in David's hand. Right now, you're holding that stone, and hell knows it. The exhaustion that's been weighing on your shoulders, that's not weakness, that's the weight of glory about to be revealed. The confusion that's been clouding your mind, that's not mental decline, that's the fog of war clearing before victory. The tears that have been flowing from your eyes, those aren't signs of defeat, they're liquid prayers that have reached the throne of God. 2 Corinthians 4:17 declares, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Light and momentary, that's how heaven sees what feels overwhelming to you. Because from eternity's perspective, this battle is already won. But here's the sign I want you to watch for in the next 3 days. The enemy's attacks are about to shift. Instead of coming at you with obvious warfare, he's going to try subtle discouragement. Old voices from your past will try to resurface. Former failures will attempt to replay in your mind. Previous disappointments will whisper that this time won't be different. When that happens, and it will happen, that's your signal that you're not just close to breakthrough. You're in it. The final arrow is being pulled from the enemy's quiver. The last storm is gathering before the sunrise. But storms don't last forever, and neither will this pressure. You want to know how I know you're going to make it through this? Because you're still here. After everything hell has thrown at you, after every attack designed to take you out, after every assault meant to silence you, you're still standing, still listening, still believing that God has something more for you. That's not human strength, dear one. That's divine DNA. That's the mark of someone who was born to break through, not break down. If you can stand right now, if your body will allow it, I want you to stand to your feet. Not for show, but as a prophetic act of defiance. Stand and declare to every force of darkness that has been assigned to your destruction, I am still here, I am still standing, and I will not quit 5 minutes before my miracle arrives. Stand as a living testament that the enemy's last stand has failed. Stand as proof that what God has ordained, no force of hell can cancel, because what's coming next isn't just recovery from this battle. What's coming next will make every attack worth it, every tear meaningful, and every moment of pressure pale in comparison to the glory that's about to be revealed in your life. The enemy took his last shot. He missed. Now it's heaven's turn to respond. Chosen one, I need you to close your eyes right now. Don't just listen to these words, feel them, because what's about to happen isn't just instruction, it's installation. Can you feel it? That weight descending upon your head, not the weight of burden, the weight of glory. Heaven itself is placing a crown upon your weathered brow, not because you're perfect, but because you're proven. Every line on your face tells a story of endurance. Every gray hair is a thread of silver wisdom woven by the Master's hand. The Father is calling your name right now, not the name your parents gave you, not the name on your birth certificate that carries decades of disappointment. He's calling you by your eternal name, the one written in the Lamb's book of life before you took your first breath. Faithful one, overcomer, my beloved. Do you hear it echoing through the corridors of eternity? That's not your imagination, that's recognition. Heaven recognizing what earth overlooked for too long. But here's what will shatter every lie you've believed about your twilight years. This crown isn't a retirement gift. This isn't God's way of saying thank you for your service. Now rest. This crown comes with a commission. A divine assignment that will make your 70s more powerful than your 20s, your 80s more impactful than your 40s. Scripture declares in Revelation 3:11, hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. But beloved, this verse isn't about defense, it's about deployment. You're not holding on to this crown to keep it safe in some spiritual safe deposit box. You're holding on to it because you're about to use it. Listen to me carefully. You think you came here tonight seeking a miracle, but God has been preparing you to become one. You've been sitting in that chair, walking through that door, living in that house, thinking you were just surviving another day. But heaven has been watching a chosen vessel finally understanding their true capacity. You're not leaving here as who you were when you started this message. That version of you, the one who doubted, who questioned, who wondered if God had forgotten your address, that person just died. What's rising from their ashes is a carrier of breakthrough. A living, breathing miracle with legs, with purpose, with assignment. Can you feel the shift? Can you sense something ancient awakening in your chest? That's not heartburn from dinner. That's the fire of the Holy Ghost reigniting gifts that have been dormant for decades. Gifts that were buried under responsibilities, under disappointments, under the world's definition of aging gracefully. But God doesn't call his warriors to age gracefully. He calls them to age powerfully. You've been commissioned, not suggested to. Not invited to consider, commissioned by the highest authority in the universe. And this commission isn't about volunteering at church bake sales or babysitting grandchildren. This commission is about carrying the very breakthrough you just witnessed into every sphere of your influence. Carry it to your home. Let that atmosphere shift when you walk through your front door. Let depression flee from your living room. Let anxiety pack its bags and leave your bedroom. Your house is about to become a sanctuary because you're bringing heaven's frequency into every corner. Carry it to your children, not with lectures about how they should live, but with such undeniable transformation that they stop mid-sentence when you enter the room. Let them see what happens when someone finally steps into their full spiritual authority at 75, at 85, at 95. Carry it to your city. Every grocery store, every doctor's office, every place you set foot becomes ground zero for heaven's invasion. You think you're just running errands. You're seeding miracles. You're planting hope. You're carrying fire into places that have forgotten what warmth feels like. And here's the final revelation that will transform everything you thought you knew about your purpose. The miracle wasn't sent to your address. You didn't receive a miracle. You didn't stumble onto a miracle. You didn't even attract a miracle. You are the miracle. You, with your arthritis and your bifocals, with your slower pace and your careful steps, you are the walking, talking, breathing answer to someone's desperate prayer. You are the proof that God still moves mountains, still parts seas, still raises the dead. Because you were dead in your own estimation, forgotten in your own mind, finished in your own opinion. But God said, watch this. Every person who dismissed you because of your age is about to witness what happens when heaven crowns someone society discarded. Every voice that whispered your time is over is about to be silenced by the sound of your footsteps walking into rooms they said you'd never enter. You are not a senior citizen marking time until heaven. You are a senior weapon in God's arsenal, finally being deployed at full capacity. The enemy thought he'd neutralized you by convincing you that retirement meant retreat. But retirement for the righteous isn't withdrawal, it's repositioning. The crown you wear tonight isn't decoration, it's declaration. Declaration that your season of influence hasn't ended, it's just begun. Declaration that your voice still carries weight in heaven's court. Declaration that your prayers still move mountains. Your presence still shifts atmospheres. Your obedience still opens doors. But here's the urgency burning in my spirit. Time is short. Not your time, Earth's time. The harvest is ready, but the laborers are few. And God needs experienced harvesters, seasoned reapers, proven warriors who know how to work when the sun is setting. This isn't about you anymore. This commission, this crown, this breakthrough, it's about every soul you'll touch between now and glory. It's about the grandchild who needs to see that faith doesn't fade with age. It's about the neighbor who's given up hope. It's about the stranger in the checkout line who's contemplating ending it all. You are the miracle walking into their moment of desperation. So what will you do with this crown? What will you do with this commission? What will you do with the supernatural authority now resting on your shoulders? Because chosen one, the coronation is complete, the commissioning is finished. Now comes the question that will determine the legacy you leave behind. Will you wear this crown with the humility of one who knows they didn't earn it, and the boldness of one who knows heaven expects them to use it? Your miracle isn't coming. Your miracle is walking out that door. Your miracle is driving home tonight. Your miracle is about to transform everything it touches. The address where miracles happen isn't a building, it's you, beloved chosen one. As we reach the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry these eternal truths with you like precious treasures in your heart. Remember this: your age is not your limitation, it's your qualification. Every year you've lived, every tear you've shed, every battle you fought has been preparing you for this moment when God says, "Now you're ready for what I've been saving for you." The crown on your head isn't just symbolic, it's functional. You are walking royalty in the kingdom of heaven. Remember this: you are not receiving a miracle, you are the miracle. Every breath in your lungs, every beat of your heart, every step you take from this moment forward carries the very presence of the Almighty. You're not too old to be used powerfully. You're finally seasoned enough to be trusted with kingdom authority. Remember this: the commission you've received tonight isn't a suggestion, it's a divine assignment. You're not leaving here to blend back into the background. You're departing as a carrier of breakthrough, a distributor of hope, a living testament that God still moves in miraculous ways. But hear me clearly, precious soul. You are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, even when the miracle seems delayed, the Creator of the universe is orchestrating every detail of your life. He's moving mountains you can't see, opening doors you haven't found yet, and preparing blessings that will leave you speechless. And right here in this community, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your journey because they're walking it too. We're not just viewers on screens, we're a family bound together by faith, united by hope, and strengthened by the love of Christ. When you need prayer, we're here. When you feel forgotten, we see you. When you question your worth, we'll remind you who you are. Before I release you into your destiny, let me ask you this final question. Now that you know who you really are, a crowned child of the King, commissioned for kingdom impact, carrying miracles wherever you go, how will you walk differently when you wake up tomorrow morning? But before you answer that question, join me in prayer. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to close your eyes and let these words wash over your spirit like healing oil. Almighty God, Father of all comfort, the Ancient of Days who sees the end from the beginning, I come before your throne, carrying every precious soul who has journeyed with us tonight. Lord, you see their hearts, the hopes they've carried, the tears they've cried, the dreams they thought were dead. But you also see their crown, their calling, their incredible future. Father, I place my hand on their shoulder right now through these words. For those who feel forgotten, remind them that their names are engraved on your palms. For those who feel too old, show them that your greatest works often come through your most seasoned vessels. For those who feel broken, let them know that you specialize in turning scars into stars, wounds into wisdom, pain into power. God, breathe fresh life into their weary bones. Restore the years the locusts have eaten. Give them beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for heaviness. Open doors that no man can shut. Close doors that lead to destruction. Provide for every need according to your riches in glory. Lord, surround them with divine favor. Let their presence change atmospheres. Let their words carry weight. Let their prayers move mountains. Use their testimonies to set captives free. Make their homes sanctuaries, their families lighthouses, their communities better because they dared to believe your word over their circumstances. And Father, when they feel weak, be their strength. When they feel confused, be their clarity. When they feel alone, wrap them in your presence so tightly that they can barely breathe without sensing your love. In Jesus' mighty name, the name above every name, the name that makes demons tremble and angels bow, I release them into their miracle season. Let every step they take be ordered by you. Let every breath they breathe carry your purposes. Let every day they live be a testimony of your faithfulness. Amen and amen. Now, I want to hear from you. Share in the comments below what God spoke to your heart tonight. What shifted in your spirit? What are you believing Him for in this new season? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to keep fighting for their breakthrough. If you feel that crown on your head, if you sense that commission in your spirit, if you know this message was meant for you, type "I am" crowned in the comments. Let heaven and earth know that you're stepping into your royal identity without apology. And please, share this message with someone who needs to remember they're not forgotten. There's someone in your life right now, a friend, a family member, a neighbor who's been feeling invisible, worthless, too old to matter. They need to know they're part of a community that sees them, values them, and is ready to pray them through whatever they're facing. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for opening your heart, for believing against doubt, for daring to hope again. Your faithfulness to watch until the very end tells me everything I need to know about your character. You don't give up easily, and that's exactly the spirit God is looking for. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. This isn't just content, this is a lifeline from heaven. Every week, we're releasing messages specifically designed to remind God's chosen ones who they are and what they carry. You belong here. This is your spiritual family. Until we meet again, walk tall, speak with authority, and never forget you are crowned, you are commissioned, and you are never, ever alone. The miracle you've been waiting for is walking out that door with you tonight. Go and be the answer to someone's prayer. God bless you mightily, chosen one. Your greatest chapter starts now.